Assalamu alaikum, my name is Fawzi Yahya and this is Muslim Filmmaker. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make this very cool glowing text effect.
وَالسَّمَاءَ بَنَيْنَاهَا بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِعُونَ.
So before we begin, I gotta let you know that this is more of an advanced After Effects tutorial. So if you're not familiar with After Effects, this might seem a little difficult, but take your time, study it, and understand that this is something that you could do once you figure it all out. But if you have any questions or you want me to cover the basics of After Effects, let me know in the comments below. Alright, so let's jump in. The first step is choosing the right footage. Because this effect uses a lot of tracking, the best footage for it is the one that's highest resolution and the least shaky. What I recommend is shooting in the highest resolution possible within your camera, such as 4K, and then the highest frame rate possible without sacrificing any quality, because that'll give you the option to convert it down to a lower frame rate, which automatically makes it more stabilized and less shaky. Step 2. Preparing the footage in Premiere. Alright, so open Premiere and create your new project. Then double click in the project window and import your file. If the footage is in higher frame rates, go ahead and right click on it, modify, interpret footage. Click on assume this frame rate and then change it to your preferred frame rate. Now in the project window, drag and drop your file into new item. This will create your sequence based on your video settings. Go ahead and edit the footage to the specific lengths that you'll need it to be. This will make it a lot easier for you to work with just the necessary amount of footage without wasting time tracking footage that's never going to make it to the final cut. For this project, since I know that I'll want this glow effect to follow the audio, I'll just bring in the audio and edit to the length of that. Now that I figured this part out in Premiere, it's time to go to After Effects to actually add the effect. So now just right click on that video file and click replace with After Effects composition. This will take you to After Effects where you can add the effect. Step 3. Tracking within After Effects. Now that we have the file in After Effects, we're going to start by tracking the footage. This is the most important part, obviously, because if your tracking isn't perfect, then the entire effect won't be as effective. Make sure your track is selected. Now navigate to the tracker window. If you can't see it, go to the window tab and make sure it's checked. Click on track motion. More settings will pop up. Make sure that position, rotation, and scale are checked because all of these changes happen within this footage that we have. 2 track points will appear. Select each one and place it on an area that has a well-defined structure and contrast. That's going to make it easier for the tracking to follow the same points as precise as possible. The smaller box is for the specific spot that you want the path to focus on. The bigger box is there as a cushion for when there's a bigger than usual shake where that spot that you chose moves too far away from the center. The smaller they are, the faster the tracking will go. The bigger they are, the more work it'll need to check that entire area. When you're ready, make sure that the header is at the beginning of the timeline. Then go into the tracker window and click the play sign to start tracking. When that's done and everything looks like it tracked well, go and right click in the timeline window and create a new null object. The tracked data is there to represent the motion in that footage, but now we need to dump it somewhere that we can use to attach any effect we want to it. A null object is perfect for that. To do that, select the null object layer, go to the tracker window, click edit target and select the null object you've just created. Click OK, make sure you're at the beginning of the timeline and then click apply in the tracker window to paste that tracking information. It'll ask if you want to apply it to X and Y, click OK. That's it. Your null object should be stuck to your text like glue. As you can see, you have the track data of all 3, position, rotation, and scale. Now the possibilities are endless. As long as you have this data, you can add whatever effect you want and it'll be stuck to that footage. Step 4. Adding the masks. First, create a white solid by right-clicking on the timeline, clicking New, Solid, and then choose the color white. Drag it above your footage layer. Now hide the layer by clicking the eye on the left side. While still selecting that layer, click on the pen tool or shortcut G. Zoom in as close as you can to the beginning of wherever you want to track. The more zoomed in, the more precise your tracking will be. This is the most time-consuming part. Now trace over the entire verse as accurately as possible, but don't spend too much time on it because you can always fix it later. This part is really important. Make sure to stop after every letter or whenever the text is not continuously connected. Think of it basically as if you're writing on paper. Whenever you're lifting your pen to write something different, that's when you should start a new mask within After Effects. Once you're done, make sure that the header is at the beginning of the timeline. Now use the pick whip to parent that white solid to the null object. That means whatever the null object is doing, the white solid will follow. If you did this properly, your mask should be stuck completely to the text. Alright, so now it's time to add the effect. So go ahead and make the layer visible again. Step 5, adding the stroke effect. The stroke effect is one of my favorite effects, and you'll know why in a second. To add the stroke effect, navigate to your Effects and Presets window. Again, if you don't see a window that I'm mentioning, just go up to the Window tab and make sure it's checked. Search for stroke effect and drag that onto the white solid. Select all masks. This is going to select all of the masks that you created in the order that you created them. So make sure when you're creating them that it's following the text rhythm. So for the rest of the settings within stroke, it depends on the footage that you have and what you're tracking. For me, the brush size was around 6.7, the hardness was at 0, opacity was at 100. So the start and end settings are basically what animates the stroke effect. So the easiest way that I found to work with this effect is by going to the beginning of the timeline and adding a keyframe for both start and end. You can do that by clicking on the stopwatches for both of them. Then go to the end of the timeline and add a keyframe for both of them. You can do that by clicking on add or remove keyframe at the current time. Now drag that first keyframe you added for start 10 or 20 frames forward. And at the end of the timeline, drag the end keyframe back 10 or 20 keyframes. This will show you exactly how it works, and from there you can change it to what works best for your footage. Finally, for the stroke effects, just change the paint style to on transparent. Now go ahead and go to the Effects and Presets panel and look for glow and add that effect to the white solid. For me, the settings for the glow were as follows. The glow threshold was around 66.3, the radius was around 11, the intensity was around 1.9, the glow colors A and B, then go down to A and B midpoint and change it to 58%. Change color A to white and color B to yellowish to give that yellow glow effect. Now your effect should look really good, but if you wanted to add a little bit more glow, just duplicate the white solid and mess with those same settings, especially the glow radius, until you get something that looks good to you. Step 6, finalizing in Premiere. Now that you've got the effect looking great and you're back in Premiere, you can add all the color correction or add the cinematic black bars on the top and the bottom and just render whenever you're finished. And that's it.
والسماء بنيناها بأيد وإنا لموسعون.
That's it for this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you want me to do another tutorial on something specific that you would like to learn, please leave it in the comments below. And as always, love for one another what you love for yourself and create with purpose. Peace.